is why we always start here. And what we need, is it working now? Perfect. It's working now. Fix the technical. Working? Yes? Oh, maybe. It's still not working. Hold on. Back in a second. Working now? I'm gonna hope it keeps working. That's just what I'm gonna do. Hold on. I have to re-put this. Working, I think. Probably. Fuck it. Good enough. It's good enough. Let me just see if I can clear the chat. There we go. Alright. Let me look. There we are. Ah! Not working. Wow. Alright. I don't remember what we were doing, but objective book started. There's a... What one do we want to do today? I feel like there's something. I don't know what we're gonna do. I'm streaming just because I felt like it. I apologize if I sound like shit. I kind of feel shit. So, yeah. And it was all like fucked up and shit. So, yay. I don't know what this way is, but we're just gonna go this way. We're gonna XP farm today. That's what we're gonna do. Because I think spiders have more XP. Oh god. The frame rate is horrible, but I guess that's what we're dealing with today. Sorry about that. We are just gonna farm XP today. Because it's kind of the only thing I can do. How has everyone been? It's been a while again, because I stream every like full moon or something. I don't have any. I don't know which way is the kingdom. What's down here? Here. Go down here? This is the spider cavern. I don't want to go down there. I don't like spiders. Up we go, I guess. I can grab that, but 1, 2, 4, 5 spiders. Alright. I'm trying to get... Well, let's go back to the city. I want to find city. Oh, yeah. How is everyone doing? I'm doing quite well. I do, like, absolutely nothing, so... I don't talk about my life. Oh, I'm in theater, which is another reason I haven't been streaming much, because most of the days I do stream, or I want to stream, I'm using the time for that. So, oof. Why can't I hit it? Okay. Sorry. The amount of lag I'm getting right now is impeccable. Oh, lovely. I don't know if it's... Okay, there we go. I just can't run too fast. I just, like, kind of die. Hmm. Well, if that's where our mission is, why don't we go this way? Actually, I didn't want to do that. I want to do this one. Just in the city. I just kind of want to get away from the spiders, because the spiders are causing so much more lag than I need. Okay. I want to fix the leg so much, but I absolutely have no idea what to do. Do I have shaders on? I hope not. Okay, I don't. I find shaders makes my game lag so much more. Okay. If I sounds like it's not because I'm sick, my allergies are just killing me today. If you ask me what my allergies are, I also cannot tell you because I actually have no idea what I'm allergic to. But I'm not sick because it's a constant state. I don't know if it's because I'm trying out a new texture pack for streaming though. If it is, that just kind of sucks because it's a really nice texture pack. Like, look at this. This is amazing for just this server. So pretty. I want it to be the texture pack. How long has it been since I streamed last? It has to be like almost a month. Oh, I feel bad. That's fine. It's been a while. We already know that. What is over here? I'm waiting for that to blow up. It did. There we go. Combat is not helping much more with the lag. Okay, we're just gonna go inside the city walls for a second. Okay, we can. I can't think of what it could be. I just want to clean up my inventory a little bit. That's why we're wanting the walls. What are these? And have some. Have. Oh, I do have something. Where is the heart of the city? The city. This way. We need this guy over here. On my head. They're all hats. I'm gonna keep that one. Just that. Better. Then the blacksmith. There's over here. Scrap items. Wait, can I sell them? Oh, there's one more I didn't find. This. Yes. I can't use it. So, we're gonna confirm. Oh. A block? Wow! Very nice. I didn't know we could get the blocks. Of emerald. I didn't know emerald blocks. We could. Ancient scout suit. That would sound cool. Wait. No. What? Are they better? Please say they're better. I can't use them. That's fine. I will use them when I can. That just sounds. We also have points. Character info. Is this how I can use my points? Okay, I have 4. What do I want to use them for? I don't know. Dexterity. Defense. Or agility. I like agility. That's just because I really like running fast, like being faster than everyone else, which is probably why everything else is bad. Don't need intelligence. There we go. We'll just make everything even minus intelligence for now. My character can be as smart as I am, which is not very. We're taking a visit? Yeah. I'll throw my emeralds in here. Mainly just because I kind of want my emeralds to be safe on this page. Actually, we'll throw everything in. Healing. Totally fine. Only can have 1 potion at a time. That's stupid. I don't like that. What is this? Why can... Okay, welcome to Ragni, new recruit. How's Fuma these days? Ah, right, directions. Ragni has 3 gates. Northern gate that leads to Kotoa Ranch. The entrance leads to Old Regani sewers, but those sewers are a dungeon, so be careful. And the southern gate leads to the dangerous Pigman ravines. I'd stay away from there if I were you, at least until you're level 15 or so. I'd recommend you head eastwards towards... If you follow the trail through the neighboring woods, you'll be City of Providence, Dentalus. Wait, hold on. There we go. Sorry. I just didn't want to have to see all the chat. Okay. Where were we? We had a quest going. Can I track the quest on... what were we doing? I thought I finished this one. Huh. Guess it didn't. Do we want to start all of them? Just why not? Where are we going? We should go this way. There we go. There's the light. Oh, good. I just like the texture. Okay, back to the texture pack. I have a new texture pack on. I'm gonna put it in the... When I post the VOD, put it in the link to the VOD, but I just think it's cute. Oh. We're just gonna run straight. We're now leaving Regni. It takes so much just to level up. That's fine. What are you doing? How are you? Go on, I don't have time for you. My brother keeps sending me people all the time. If they keep coming expecting free stuff, I don't have time for this. I still have these years. Oh yeah, I already helped you. This way. Wee woo wee oh wee oh. Get the zombies. Oh, there's a lot of them. That's fine. Oh, an assassin. Wow. I didn't think that was that cool. What does that even mean? What? I don't even know what I meant by that. I don't think our XP is going up at all. I just hit them with it. I didn't want to be Ranger because I wanted to be cool with magic. No, I just can't hit people with things. That's annoying. Oh well. Oh yeah, we were on a quest. We were going this way. Purple thing. The slaying post always scary. Place spiders, okay. I keep getting distracted starting quests, never finishing them. That's just a me thing though, that's a Jasper thing. This way. Oh, I can't. What do you want? Not me forgetting how to use a mouse. Whoops. Where are we going? I've lost the giant sky beacon. What is that? Oh, that's ugly. Oh, I've killed spiders. Oh yay, experience! I was just trying to figure out how this works. Already finished. Alright. Please track the mushroom. Mushroom. Never could have eaten. No. Hola. This way. Probably. Hey, oh, why are there so many zombies in the spider forest? That doesn't seem right. Way this way. Okay. I just follow the path. You think if I run through the woods I'll get lost? Probably. I'm kind of dumb. Oh! Why are these guys just... Powder Master. What's a powder? Oh, earth powder. Can I put that on my little... my thing? I want to put it on B. Ooh. That's cool. I don't know what that does. Oh, nice. Powder slots. Common. Yeah. Why is there just a horse? Whose horse is that? Whose fucking horse? Jesus Christ. Okay. Bam, bam, bam. Oh, the leg's back. I don't think I can do, like, stream any of the quests from this actually playing. I think I might have to do them in the, like, YouTube or something. I'm fine with doing it. A lot of work. No, it's not. It's really not a lot of work. I just don't like editing. Why so many? Well, oh well. Rotten bone. I stole their boat. Oh, why are there so many? Of course, because it's a game about grinding XP from mobs, of course. But why are there so many crams in just one spot? What is that? That doesn't seem right. That looks like it's gonna have bosses in there. Why did I say moss? I like moss, actually. Okay. Burned suburb. Burned suburb. Man. Oh, Orangutiller, it's been a while since I've seen one of you out here. My name is Van, but they call me Vagrant and Van since I lost my tower to the corruption. Corruption took over my guard tower out here in the plains northwest of here, just past the building behind me. Oh, that's what it is. It's the last tower not ruled by the war, but it cannot fall in the grasp of the corruption. Do you think you could take some corrupted butt for me? Sure. Sure. We're going this way. Area discovered deadless suburbs. Nice. They don't really look like suburbs to me. Now they kind of do, but... Why does he get armor? Actually, that's probably fair. And armor too, so even battle. Ah! Please don't die. Please don't kill me. You must be a new recruit. Well, I have got a mission for you. There's an old cave behind me. It was once used in the corruption wars. We used it for quick and easy travel between Atlas and Ragnar. It's been abandoned for years. This cave could prove very useful for future recruits who need to travel between Atlas and Ragnar. That's where you came in. I need you to clear out the old cave route that can be used once more. Good luck, soldiers. Whee! Okay, good. Sorry. Our new recruit must be one Captain Fender said. Why are they from America? Well, let's get started then. Oh, okay, I went too fast. Do I need a pickaxe? Nice job. I'm cautiously really don't know what's down here. No, I can't. Why am I? Oh, yeah. Huh. Wait, do you hear that? Monsters, do your job, soldier. Dirt crawler. That sounds nice. If I was a monster, that's like the last thing I'd want to be called, a dirt crawler. What? That cave just blocked in the path. Defend me while I try and make a hole. Hard. That could be taken very wrong. Hard-packed zombie. Woohoo! Dirt crawlers. Keep it up, I think I'm halfway there. Is that a baby zombie? Ground shaker? I've got to make the outrun. Cave B seems barely worth the trouble. Full of debris. Maybe what's happening to the wall, right? Well, this is a little awkward. I'll just go. What? Who the hell was that? Just check out the whole view. I'll try. Walk this way. We're gonna come back and he's gonna be dead. I didn't expect you to. Hi, might sound mad, but I'm Drayle. I'm on a mission to free these cows from enslavement of Katoa Ridge. These farmers stole our cows. They're sacred animals. We're about to turn them into steak. If you're to help me, maybe I could help you. Go free those innocent cows. God, I wish I was a kid. It sounds crazy because it is crazy. I'm up here now. I'm up here. Oh. Okay. Go free these cows before they're taken. Oh, that's what it said. Oh, the slaughterhouse. Oh. Hey, hey. Huh? Hey. Who's Belvis? What do you think you're doing down there? This is private property, you know? Oh. I won, but I was caught. What does that mean? He's looking this way. I think we just have to get out without getting seen. Oh, that's who Belvis is. This guy. Go. Thank you so much. We're not done yet. We have to get these out of the province. Oh my god. Small opening behind me. Go through it and get these cows on a raft to Gavel. Okay. Okay, sir. Where are you going? Come to talk to me first. I already did. Go. This way? Oh, I was going the wrong way. There's a raft. Help me push it for the cats. This is the weirdest tunnel clearing I've ever done. Right click. Okay. That should be free. A new life awaits. Again, thank you so much for what you've done to this day. The cows just my life to be farm animals. Already talked to you. Stop. How long have you realized this? How long have you been helping this Seals cows? Realize you probably should get back to Linen. I'm not telling you my story. Cow thief. What took you so? I've been waiting an hour. What were you doing? Help some crazy cow-obsessed lunatics steal cows. Recruit, that's against the law, you know. Oh, what do I care? I'm a silly Bovmanist. Either way, we still don't know how it means. Right. Hello again. Did I say help? Have no fear. Cows to me. What in the world? Did you help me with my problem? I thought I should repay you. Repay the favor by helping you. Reading is hard today. Well, see ya. Oh, nice meeting you, Miner. Now, we gotta go help my cows. Off into the sunset. What just happened? Am I seeing anything? You know, I don't want to know. Anyways, I'm gonna go ahead. I'll be guarding the passage so nothing else bad happens to me. It's an honor to adventure with you, recruit. Honor adventuring with you, man. I should get this out because. Any moms? No. Usually there's more mobs in this. We're now entering Dragony. Recruit campaigner, come meet here. If you came out on the other side of this tunnel, then you complete your mission. You did a great deed today, soldier. Now we can use. Oh my god. Ah! Is that all the mission? Okay. I'll be back, and then we're going back to the other side of the thing, because I feel like there was a mission there we could have done, and then I forgot about it. We're gonna do that! How do we identify? Identify all of the. Ooh, I get a new weapon! This is a bumblebee. No! Ooh. Dark ambience, we already have that one. Kiara, can I use that? No. Can't. This means we're gonna go to the blacksmith really quick as well. Blacksmith is kind of important. What did I just take damage? Scrap items. Can't use that. I don't like that. Need that. Super keys. Use that. Pretty sure I already have that one, actually. Yeah, I already have that. This one's slightly better, though. We're gonna keep that one. Death Growl. Okay. Actually, I'm gonna have to take that one back to Powder Dude. And then fix up our axe. Oh, actually, I don't need scrap to fix that up. That's good. And oh, I was gonna sell this tunic. I don't really need it. Actually, what's my tunic? We're switching tunics. Oh, that would explain why I can't use it. Actually, I need this one back. I don't really have use for it for storage, so I don't think I really need it. Why am I taking damage? There we go. One Bob's tier. I didn't see a Bob's tier before. Back to mine. Or when we're why can't I stack them? Oh, there we go. Lag, probably. Ease. That's all I can put there. So that's all we're putting in there, actually. We're gonna about 1:30 today. That's a lot. I'll probably stream 1:30, 2 o'clock. Dead. I always have to say something. Off. Off. This is how. Where's my tunnel we just made? I think it's this one. Can I go on this one? And then we teleport. I need to find the Powder Man. I want him to strip the earth power off my bumble. But we're gonna go into Debtless and see if there's a Powder Man there. I would like. What is this? Ooh, there's a blue side too. I've never been to Debtless. Riches from all around the palace. Top tier. Villagers and humans. Bank. Gosh. Sorry, I'm trying to. I don't want to have. Okay, this is really pretty. I'm gonna say, I doubt there's a Powder Man here. Potions. Armor. Blacksmith? Blacksmith. Potion. Powder! Okay, there is one. Okay, I need the bank first. I forgot everything, like, costs money. So I need money for... It's an emerald merchant I need. I don't need an emerald merchant. I need... No. Ender chest. I need. I don't need a powder merchant. Or an emerald. Hey, you think I could just use their ender chest? Yeah. I'm lost. Again. Books? Scrolls. Yeah. I just remember it was orange. It might be. It's over here. This is confusing. Ah. Bumble. Do not get the powders back. We don't. Oh, that's bullshit. Oh. I'm gonna put Bumblebee in the bank. Because that feels beefy. They just stole. Look at it, didn't give it back. Also, we're gonna go this way. I don't know what this way is, but we're going this way. Follow the path here. That tells what's frozen limb is Zenneck. Transform in dangerous place. We're now leaving Deadless. Zombie militia? I don't think I should be over here. Oh, wow. Yeah, I don't think I should be this way because I... No for 8. Fact, I'm not strong enough to do that. Alright. I'm just gonna be back in a second. I'm gonna go grab something. So, Sorry, I'm back now. I'm back now. Sorry. Needed to go to the bathroom. We're still alive. That is good. That is good. Very good. What were we doing? I don't remember. Debt list. We need to go back to Raggedy. Bolted. We need to go this way. It's probably the way we came in. I'm just kind of... That's just 7 emeralds. I'll be back now. Oh yeah, what was my thing last time? I don't know. Last time I was on, I was talking about getting art commission. I'm still working on that because I have no idea how to really like... I've never commissioned art before. I've never fully commissioned art. Most of the time people would... we would end up talking before and like I'd actually know them, which is why I'd commission them. I've never commissioned art from just like a person that I don't know before, which is what I'm gonna have to do. Because I don't actually know that many artists that do commissions. That would be one. So I'm kind of just a standstill because I'm a very socially awkward person in real life. And even online I can be socially awkward sometimes. So I'm scared of being judged. I don't know. I haven't commissioned art before. I don't know why I'm scared to. Most artists are like the nicest people ever, but still. I think I'm gonna commission... It's gonna be a lot of money, too. Which I don't really have a lot of at the moment. But I'm trying to commission a profile picture, emotes, and then banners. And we do the headers for now. I have an idea of what I'm gonna use. A lie, no I don't. And I would draw one myself, but I generally can never like the way my art looks, and I want to get a more permanent banner than one I've been changing a lot, like almost weekly for months. But I don't like it. So, why are there so many key guardians? Stop! I saw stuff drop I want. So we're going back this way. I know. Stupid decision. Stupid decision. Okay. Another... Okay, moving on. Moving past that is commissions. And then I'm thinking about doing study with me streams because I'm potentially going to Japan for a year for school, and I need to study more Japanese. So would you guys want like a study with me kind of streams and just chatting? Because I'm thinking about doing them quite a bit. So, but I think first things first is getting the mission pieces done. My inventory is almost full. should have just, you know, taken the shortcut. That'd been so much easier. Why didn't I just hop in our little tunnel and go? But no. I like to pick up stuff. Also, I'd like to point out that as the sun rises, you feel a bit safer is the most mysterious thing I've ever heard. That is like spooky. Spooky, spooky. Yeah, so I'm gonna work on the commission stuff myself, and then I'm gonna do some polls in my Discord to kind of decide what kind of streams we want. So I have to study for the JLPT N5. I have to go do that soon. I'm not at that level yet. Not at all. Kind of my fault because I've been putting it off for so long, but but I've been questioning help for ages. Looks like we have a pipe in the sewer and no one's up. It's right here. Okay, is Regni here? I feel like it should be. I need to sell stuff. Oh, is that a dungeon? Oof. Okay, I need to. Is there anyone here that'll buy stuff? No. If I remember correctly, Regni should be a little. Okay. This way. But yeah, no, I'm gonna put. There it is. I'm gonna put some polls in the Discord for people. I'm gonna do like a poll day. I'll make it a whole thing of doing polls, seeing what people want. I'm gonna leave the polls. I'm also gonna put polls on Twitter, just in case people don't have Discord. But yeah, I like to. I play a lot of Minecraft. Let's be honest. I do a lot of Minecraft streams, but I still want to be open to streaming other things. Because I do want to be a variety streamer, but Minecraft is just kind of a default thing for me. Because I like playing short games where on like days I cannot stream for long, and Minecraft. But I kind of wanted to be able to do a bit more than just that. I wanted to study with me. And also, if anyone really has done commissions, they kind of just like explain them to me. I'm genuinely. I don't know why I'm so scared. Actually, it's kind of a stupid thing, but how many things can I do at once and afford? Nope. Nope. Don't have enough. Let me go get my trust fund. There we go. We got the trust fund. Let's go. Okay. I'm gonna stream longer than I said I was going to. Because I'm probably gonna stream till like 2. Weapons! Have them I can't have. It sucks. that part. Nothing else is. There we go. Perfect. We already have. And we need to go back to the blacks. I'm gonna wrap all of like the armor. I think that's what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna sell weapons. I can those that I can't out. I don't need stylistic. Do the same. Two. Already have one. Do these do any better than the ones I have? Which 6 strength. That one is better. Oh, the death growl out. Don't need those. I can't even use it. This one. Okay, that one. Don't need that. Okay, we're selling these. That's a bow. I can't even use the bow. That sucks. Oh well. Use will be for a total of 6. Can I upgrade anything? And then we need to go back all the way to Deltas to see the Powder Man. The identifier I need to go over here. Over here. Test. That rip out. I do need to see. I want to see what this looks like. Okay, you know what? That's fine. I like that. That looks cool. I'm gonna use it because it's cool and has a bit more strength than what I normally use. I'm gonna be back. I have to go and shut my door. Oh yeah. Oh, dying. I told you you'd like that episode. It's good. Oh shit. I'm not sorry. I was shutting a bedroom door because she was being loud. I don't like that. This way, no, this is not the way. Oh, no, the Powder Man's in town, isn't he? So I don't have to actually look for him too hard. That's good. This way. This way. So, add powders. That can take powder. Can I add another powder? No. Actually. No. Can I add a powder to this? No. Nothing else takes powder. Awesome. Looks like you... 20. Do I have any points I need to do? Nope. 30 good. I feel like I was doing something earlier. I can't remember what it was. Oh, that's someone's pet. I don't need it. Oh yeah, the sewer. That's actually, I need to go back to Ragney. I don't know where the tunnel is. We're just gonna run around for a second until we find the tunnel. Not that way, because we just came for that way. I'm not tired, but I have I'm not tired. I'm just yawning. Okay. He just likes to say hi. That's why he's glimmering. I'm back in the city. I get a sip of my coffee. So we just gonna go in winging, because I think that's what we're gonna do. What I like to do. Okay, how did we get out the first time? I don't remember. Probably going this way. There we go. Into the sewer. Into the sewer. The sewer. It's still... Interesting stories. Here's a brief video play. It's well exhausted. No. Where'd you? Am I supposed to meet her somewhere in here or just walk around? I'll find the blockage. Corrupted sewage. Oh. I'm being attacked by little shits. That's fucking amazing. Oh, parkour, my least favorite thing. Oh. I'm not good at parkour. Help. I died. Someone told me parkour would be a part of my mission. Weak and agile. What is that sound? Because that is horrible. I don't like that. What was that sound? No. Oh, there's the NPC. Does it feel like there's something lurking that doesn't want us here? Yes! Anyways, I found the block. It's right up ahead. Here's this more explosive. This isn't worth going to use this. Gross. Oh. Where am I? That's not good. I'll explain what we do when this happens. Oh shit, oh shit. This is not good. Very good. Find a way out of the spooky sewer. Okay. Spooky. Like that. Why is there blood? Oh, that looks like blood. Oh, why is there a skeleton head? Flushing skeletons down there. Let's go this way. What the fuck is that? What is that? What is that? No, 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 touch me. No. No. Oh. Oh god, can I get out this way? Am I breaking the pillar? Why did I need to break the pillar to do that? Oh, to get up. That makes more sense. I have to go all the way back down. All the way back down. I have been playing for so many years and I still cannot do parkour. Should clarify, but when I played when I was younger, I was, you know, an absolute child. Just tiny. It was this little thing. So. That is sad that I can't do that. I like to also say the ambiance of this place is immaculate. Okay, we got up. Caught up. I don't want to have to do that parkour again. I'm not a parkour person. Oh, run, the pipe is flooding. You know what? I don't want to look behind me. I have a feeling I won't like what, there's a, can I? Success, you've successfully escaped. Ah, you're alive. Just look, we underestimated the amount of sewage. Shift. I did hit shift. Let's get out of here. Do you still have the explosive I gave you? Good, let's use it on this all. Break through. Stand the fuck back. Ah! It appears to be more about reaching. Oh. Oh no, did you just open that? Come out here immediately. What? Oh no. Open that. Then the ship raised, and this one has to be the old Raggedy prison. Horrible history, people used to hide here during raids. Rumor has it that Bob here of Wynn was born in this very prison. And the only proven parties of soldiers may enter is one that's slayed a key guardian. I do have key guardians. Must go in and feed the dungeon. That's stupid. I actually already had keys. Okay, we're gonna go back to the town for a second. We are going to the town for a second. I want to identify this piece of armor. I'm gonna grab all my keys. And then... What time is it? Identify this. We're gonna grab all the keys. And then... Big... Dream. Okay. Sorry. Why do I keep yawning? Jesus Christ. Oh. Gonna go this way. Blacksmith, no, we want this one over here. Greater points. Awesome. Why'd that hurt? Oh, did I have more hearts? Yeah, I did. Okay. I was confused by that for a second. Grab the bank. Where's the bank? It's back here. Yeah. Okay, we got this. Well done. Ah. No, and then we need all of our keys. And how many do we have? 2. Agility. Because apparently I've been upgrading dexterity. I didn't even know that. Alright. Got all our keys. You guys so much for watching. Stream's ending. No, I'm ending stream right now. I know, I could just wait till 2, but I'm not going to. So we're ending stream now, because and I was going to. So yeah, that's the end of today's stream. I don't have anyone to raid today, so we're not gonna raid anyone. I'll see you guys in the next stream. In the next stream, we're gonna do the sewer. We're gonna try the sewer. Attempt the sewer dungeon. And yeah, that's the end of today's stream. Bye bye. Meetawa. Bye.